Howdy, everybody. So today we're going to look at Microsoft Excel spreadsheets and how that can help you analyze your small business, your trucking operation. And what it is that we'll look at creating our own charts and graphs and get a better understanding of where our business is heading and control costs and see where there might be opportunities for improvement. So here we have, for example, maintenance cost per mile. And this is one of my favorite charts. Let's go back here a second. Scroll over here for a minute. Okay. And then we will zoom in a little bit. Okay. So this is data that I gathered from year 2016 all the way through the year 2021. Um, Eventually, when you start tracking your own data, it becomes, you know, very, very intuitive to you so that you don't necessarily have to track it all the time. You just know, you just inherently know what your costs are. But initially, when you're first starting out, it's helpful to analyze the data and get a better handle on it. So you can see maintenance costs, this is the same truck. You can see the maintenance cost was going up year over year over year, where this trend line here shows the direction we're going in. Right here you had a little bit of dip, but then you had major expenses going forward, and then another little dip. But on average, the maintenance cost was going up year over year over year. So this is good to know because this might factor into your decision of whether or not it's time to buy a new truck. If your maintenance cost is going up, you may realize better savings by investing in newer equipment. And then also here we can look over here, fuel to repair ratios. But this is important because you would know that fuel, highlighted by the blue, is much more than repair. Although some years you could have, like in 2020, when repairs was very, very high. But generally speaking, it's always going to be your fuel is most expensive, and then your second most expensive repair or cost is going to be repair costs. So here we can see average monthly repairs. And we can look at fuel and repair ratio, average monthly repairs, and a chart, a line chart. This is a bar chart. Maintenance cost per mile. So a lot of times you get into discussion, and I mean, depending on how much detail you go in, and someone will ask you, "What's your maintenance cost per mile?" And maybe you don't know. So here, this green column is illustrative of the average maintenance cost per mile for this time period over 2016 through 2021, and the average maintenance cost per mile was 25 cents per mile. It's a little high. I mean, a newer truck would be maybe 10 or 15 cents per mile. So that might weigh in on your decision whether or not to purchase another truck. So let's look at another chart here. And this is going to be your average monthly miles. And you can track all this stuff. And then you can get your things like your average right down here. So here the average is 10,000 miles per month on average. Some months more, some months less. And you can look, see where it's your best running months. January, probably not going to be your best running months. February is probably not going to be good either because of the weather. But then you can look at June, July, August, September, very good months. You can see it over here. You're averaging over 10,000 miles per month. So you get this data from your accounting firm, and what you do is you start putting in the numbers. It's a little bit labor intense because you have to you have to insert the information manually. So you look at the profit and loss statement, and it'll show you your miles. So right here, this is miles. And then you just create you know, a sort of like a calendar table, and you start entering the data. Same thing with revenue, then your expenses. You have fixed expenses, and then you have variable expenses. Then your net income before tax, miles to break even. So you do that for each and every year. And again, it is a little bit labor intense, but then what you can do is things like you get your loaded miles, your empty miles, total miles, revenue, repair, net income, miles per gallon. You can track any metric you want. How many gallons you used, how many miles you've driven, so on and so on. And then what that does is allows you to create something like this, which is KPI, key performance indicator. So your lifetime monthly averages, you're looking at loaded miles, empty miles, average total miles, and you could know this. You would have this information available to you at your fingertips. So someone says, okay, on average, how many miles per month do you drive? Well, on average, 10,000 miles. And you're like, oh, okay, well, how many of those are loaded? On average, over 9,000 miles loaded. And then it's like, well, what's your average revenue? It's like, okay, I can gross close to 14,000 a month. Here's my average monthly repair. And here's my average monthly net income, my net income per mile, my total revenue per mile, my average miles per gallon, and my cost per mile. So the cost per mile is almost, based on this, these numbers are a little bit outdated because they only go through like 2022, but cost per mile could be as high as $1 per mile. So if you're only making $1, $1.41 per mile, well, $1 of that's going to cost per mile. And then your net income per mile would be 41 cents per mile. So these are important numbers to know if you really want to get on top of your game and you want to speak intelligently about your business. And start thinking about these numbers and like, okay, well, how do I improve my runtime? How do I minimize my downtime? How do I get handle on my maintenance costs? If you have an older truck, there's a lot of disadvantages to an older truck. There's going to be more repair costs, less miles per gallon, less loaded miles, less revenues, total revenue, so on and so on and so on. You start crunching these numbers, and you're like, yeah, that newer truck is expensive, but hanging on to that older truck is more expensive. And now you understand why. So you can do this is lifetime monthly averages, and then you can look at your charts for individual years. You create your own charts. So this is 2017, the year 2017, the miles. Blue is the loaded miles, orange is the empty miles, gray is the total miles. And you can see the trend line here, miles are going down as the truck was getting older. Now you may say, hey, this is great. How do I learn how to create my own charts and graphs? Well, if you do a Google search or a YouTube search, just type in Excel for beginners. I think that's going to be your best bet because there are a lot of nice videos out there that show you how to do this. And I mean, there's literally hundreds of videos how to learn Excel. And you can also go on Amazon and buy a book if you want on Microsoft Excel. But I subscribe to Microsoft 365, and that allows me to share these files through the cloud and on all my devices. So, not only do I have it Excel spreadsheet on my laptop, but I also have it on my smartphone. So you can order Microsoft Office 365, and you'll get more than just Excel. You'll get Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, uh, a database software. I think it's worth the investment, and you can write it off as a business expense. But if you want to learn how to do this, you really want to, watch some of these videos on YouTube. Just type in Excel for beginners. So going back here, we're looking at all the different charts you can create. Here's one for revenue, and you can see the blue is mileage, and then the orange is fuel surcharge, if you get fuel surcharge. So not only do you get paid per mile, for like example, if you lease on a big box carrier, you also will have fuel surcharge. Then if you look over here, is a nice pie chart I created. This is for all the variable expenses. And the purpose of this is to really help you understand your business, because you can analyze the data and you're like, okay, I can visualize it. Now I understand. So like here, this red color is for fuel. And you can see fuel is, half the variable expenses. About 50% or more of my variable expenses, this is expenses that are not fixed. Fixed expenses would be like truck payment, insurance, things like that. Variable expenses would be fuel, truck repairs, anything that you purchase at a truck stop, small tools, things like that. It's discretionary. So the second largest is routine truck repair. So the red is fuel, yellow is truck repairs. And you could see how, that's like 75% of your expenses are between fuel and truck repair. So here it shows uh, that's 24% routine truck maintenance and repair. If we look at fuel, it's 53%. 53%, 24%. So you're looking at 77%. 3/4 of your business, variable expense. I mean, right there, that's where you're going to see the best opportunity to save if you can improve on your fuel efficiency and cut down on your maintenance. Here we see the fuel repair ratio. Fuel here 61%, repairs 39%. If we look at the total cost between these two, if we just look, here we're looking at all the variable expenses, but if we just say, okay, of all the money we spent on fuel and repair, 61% of it's on fuel, 39% is on repair. And how you do this is you create a little table here. You say, okay, fuel I spent 39,000, repair 25,000, total 64,000. You convert that into percentages. And what it is with Excel spreadsheets is you can create formulas. So if we go up here, we can say, okay, you have to create a formula and say, okay, whatever this value in this cell, this worksheet is going to be equal to what's in cell Q2. So there's row 2, there's column Q. So it's Q2 divided by Q4. Okay. So here's Q and here's 4. So if we want to find a percentage of fuel, we would take the cost of the fuel divided by the total cost. That's how we come up with 61%. So let's try this over here. So we'll enter equal sign. We'll do Q2 divided by to the divide. There we go. Q2 divided by Q4. Okay. And it's right there, it's in dollar signs because this is in dollar signs. But we don't want dollar signs, we want percentages. So if we come up here and we say, okay, there's the percentage sign. So let's convert that into a percentage. And I'll make it percentage. Isn't that nice? Now, once you learn how to do Excel, then you could do things like grab this little handle right here. Well, that didn't work. Let's see here. I think I know why it didn't work. If you want to fix, let's say you want to fix this Q4 because that's going to stay the same. Okay. So you put a dollar sign in front of that right there. Okay. That fixes that cell. Then we grab this handle and it'll automatically fill in. Q3 divided by Q. Try that one more time with Q and then there. I think that'll work now. So we'll delete this. Try that again. Grab that handle and it automatically filled it in. See, here is you had to fix the reference of that Q4. In order to do that, you put a dollar sign in front of the numbers right here. So dollar sign Q, dollar sign 4, that fixes this number here. And what happens when you scroll down, when you grab that handle in that corner and you scroll down, it'll pick the next cell in the sequence, which would be Q3 divided by the reference cell that you fix, Q4, and so on and so on. So it really helps, when you're trying to create charts and graphs, if you know how to do that. Let's try another one. We said fuel is 39,000. Well, we got that number from over here. And in order to do that, we just put in equal sign. Oops, wrong cell. Put in equal sign. And then we click on the cell that we want. In this case, it's going to be N2. So we click right there. You'll see right there it says N2. Hit enter. Now, creating a chart is a little more complicated, and you'll learn that as you watch those videos on YouTube. But the point of this video is to show you what you can do. It's an introduction to Excel spreadsheets for owner-operators, so that you can understand your business better. It's not necessarily, the video we're doing today is not to teach you how to use Excel. It's to show you what's available in Excel. If you want to do this, you can create your own charts and graphs and learn how to do this stuff and get a better handle on your business. Now here's revenue. We can look at first quarter revenue. So this is nice to know because this is over January or 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. So we can look, for example, this is just the months of January. Our best January was in the year 2021. We made over 19,000 revenue, gross revenue, before expenses. And then again in February. And then not so much in March. So we probably ran really hard January, February. Probably was a good winter, good weather. And then probably took some time off in March. So you could see, but generally the average winter, you're probably going to be looking at gross revenue of maybe 12,000 per month. on average. Some years better, but on average, that's probably what it's going to be. Then you can look at, quarter by quarter, second quarter. Slide over here. Gross revenue by year. You can see which years were your best years. So 2019 was a really good year, and it all depends on your equipment, by and large, how good is your equipment running. So you can get very, very skilled at creating charts and graphs. And what happens is over time, these numbers, they just become secondhand to you. You just know them automatically. It's like, oh, I know what my numbers are. You know, it's all in your, you keep all the information in your head. For some people, it's nice to see it, and to visualize the numbers. For some people, they just inherently know. It's like a mechanic. It doesn't need to read the instructions every single time to repair a truck. He just inherently knows from experience how to do the job. But for someone who's new, they need to see it. They need to see it to believe it. So like here's average miles per gallon, and you can really just look at your lifetime average is seven, a little bit over 7 miles per gallon, and you say, okay, well, a new truck will give me 8 miles per gallon, and you start crunching the numbers, and you're like, well, that new truck is going to have less maintenance. It's going to give me more miles per gallon. I'm going to generate greater revenue per month, where I can afford those truck payments. In fact, not only can I afford those truck payments, but because I'm saving on fuel and I'm saving on maintenance, it'd be more profitable to have a newer piece of equipment than it would be to have this old piece of equipment that's not getting the miles per gallons like you would like it to get. So you can analyze any metric you can imagine for your truck. It's just a matter of how much time do you want to invest in creating your Excel spreadsheets, because there is a lot of data entry, and learning how to create charts and graphs. So quite interesting. And you could see, down here, these are all the different sheets, tabs. 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022. That's just data entry. That's just getting your information from the profit and loss statement. Now you can start creating tables based on that, on those sheets right there. Now you can start summarizing it and analyzing it with creating charts, tables, and then you can also see this on your cell phone. You can also share this information with your mechanics or talk to other truck drivers, and start comparing and contrasting your truck to other trucks, because now you know the facts. Now you know exactly how your truck is performing, how your business is performing. So when someone says something, like, oh, I'm getting 9 miles per gallon, and that really kind of piques your interest, because your biggest expense is fuel. You're like, wow, how are you getting 9 miles per gallon? He's like, well, my truck's only 2 years old, and I stay on top of maintenance, and everything's under warranty. So then that warranty will cut down on these repair costs. You're like, oh, I was thinking about buying another truck, but I wasn't sure if it was worth it. Well, if you know your numbers, that will help you make that decision. That'll be part of your decision-making process. And then once you make a decision, you'll be confident to know that you made the right decision, because you're tracking your numbers. You know what your business costs. You know what your costs are per mile and what your averages are. These numbers are not going to change unless you invest in newer equipment. You're not going to improve upon these numbers unless you improve upon your equipment, because you're doing everything that's humanly physically possible So you can only drive so many hours in a day. You know, you're doing the same amount of work. What's holding you back, more than likely, is the equipment. So once you know your numbers, then you can make a more informed decision of whether or not it's a good investment to spend the extra money on equipment. So this is what I use when I want to really analyze my business. I'm like, okay, I need to get on top of this. Let's start putting the information in an Excel spreadsheet. Let's create some tables. Let's create some charts and graphs. Let's figure out what our averages are, and let's really analyze the numbers, and then make a decision. Once I've got a handle on it, it's like, okay, I understand. I get it now. I see where my costs are. I know that in order to reduce my costs, I need better equipment. And now I'm ready to pull the trigger and buy another truck. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.